I still remember the sound more than the words. Leather shoes on marble. A soft laugh that wasn't meant for me but wasn't hidden either, and then a voice low, confident, already bored. "He's not who we were expecting." That was how it started. Not with yelling, not with insults, just that calm assumption that I didn't belong. I was standing near the back of the conference room, hands in my pockets. Jacket, a little too worn for a place like that. Glass walls skyline views the kind of room where people spoke softly because they'd been listened to their whole lives. Everyone else had taken their seats already. No one offered me one. I didn't ask. I just stood there and watched them decide who I was. To them, I looked like a problem, or worse, an inconvenience. No assistant, no title announced, no confident stride, just a guy who showed up quietly and didn't try to fill the space with noise. One of the partners glanced at me and said, "We'll begin shortly," then turned his body slightly like I was furniture that needed to be worked around. That's when I realized something almost funny. They weren't curious about me at all. They were certain. Certain I had nothing. Certain I didn't matter. Certain I could be managed. And certainty makes people careless. I took a breath and leaned against the wall, letting the room do what it was going to do. Papers shuffled. Someone checked a watch. Someone else whispered, "Let's keep this moving." The meeting was about assets, companies, properties, numbers with too many zeros to feel real. My name wasn't on the agenda, and they clearly intended to keep it that way. At one point, a man across the table, tailored suit, perfect smile, finally acknowledged me. "Are you here with someone?" he asked, polite enough to pass as kind. "No," I said. "I'm here for this." A pause, a flicker of annoyance. "I'm not sure that's necessary," he replied. "This part is technical." Technical, that word people use when they don't want witnesses. Another voice chimed in, lighter, almost friendly. "We can have someone walk you out if you'd like." Or he smiled, sliding a card across the table. "We can make it worth your time." I looked at the card, didn't touch it. "I'm good," I said. "I'll stay." You could feel the shift then. Not panic yet, but irritation, like a fly that wouldn't leave the room. Someone muttered, "Why is he even here?" I almost laughed. Almost. Because if there's one thing life teaches you, it's this: people reveal themselves fastest when they think you're powerless. They kept talking faster now, skimming details, summarizing things that shouldn't be summarized. Dates blurred, responsibilities reassigned, decisions rushed. I listened, not like someone trying to catch them in a lie, more like someone counting heartbeats. At one point, the same man from earlier leaned back and said, "Let's not overcomplicate this. We all know how this is supposed to go." That's when I spoke again. Actually, I said, "Calm, the order matters." Every head turned. Surprise, then irritation. "What do you mean?" he asked. "The order," I repeated. "You skipped something." A few people exchanged looks. Someone laughed softly, the way adults laugh at children who interrupt. "I don't think so," the man said, "but thank you." He turned back to his papers. I didn't raise my voice, didn't argue. I just added, "March comes before July." Silence. The woman next to him frowned and leaned in. "What did you say?" I shrugged. "Nothing important, just accuracy." That word again. Accuracy. It landed heavier than I expected. Suddenly they were looking at the documents instead of me, flipping pages back, whispering. The room slowed down. Someone cleared their throat and said, "Let's take a short break." Chairs scraped back, people stood, conversations moved to corners. No one asked me to leave this time. A man approached me near the window, smile tight, voice low. "Look," he said, "we can handle this discreetly. There's no need to make things uncomfortable." "I'm not uncomfortable," I replied. He studied me, really studied me for the first time. "You're not getting what you think you're getting," he said. "You should take what's offered and walk away." I met his eyes. "You should finish what you started." That's when his confidence cracked, just a little. The meeting resumed slower now, cautious. They tried to regain control, but it was gone. Every sentence felt rehearsed. Every glance betrayed calculation. Finally, someone asked the question they'd been avoiding. "And you are?" the woman said, forced smile in place. I didn't answer right away. I walked to the table, placed a folder down gently and said, "I'm the part you didn't plan for." Inside the folder were copies. Not secrets, just records, timelines, signatures, connections they'd assumed no one would trace because no one had bothered before. I didn't accuse anyone. I didn't threaten. I didn't even explain much. I just said I believe this deserves a proper review. The room went quiet in that deep, uncomfortable way where everyone is suddenly aware of their own breathing. One man rubbed his temple, another stared at the table. Someone else whispered, "This changes things." Yes, it did. They asked for time, for privacy, for discussions without me. I agreed. I didn't need to be in the room anymore. I waited by the elevator, listening to the building hum, feeling strangely calm. Not victorious, just clear. When they came back, their posture was different, smaller, polite in a way that carried weight. "We'll proceed correctly," the lead partner said, with full transparency. I nodded. That's all I wanted. Nothing dramatic happened after that. No shouting, no apologies, just signatures, revisions, and a quiet understanding that some games had ended. When it was over, I picked up my jacket and headed for the door. Someone called after me. "You could have said who you were from the start." I stopped, thought about it, then smiled. "You wouldn't have listened," I said. "You needed to see it first." The elevator doors closed behind me, sealing in the silence. As it descended, I caught my reflection in the mirrored wall. Same clothes, same face, same calm. Nothing about me had changed. Only their certainty had. Out on the street, the city moved like it always does. Cars, voices, life continuing without caring who won or lost in some glass tower above. I walked a block before I realized my hands weren't shaking anymore. I didn't feel rich. I didn't feel powerful. I felt light. Because the real victory wasn't proving who I was, it was watching them confront who they'd been. So let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself. Do people respect money, or do they only respect who they think holds the power? And how many times have you watched someone be dismissed just because they didn't look the part? Tell me what you think. I'm reading the comments.